There we go.
There we go. Now we're live.
What's going on? We're back on a rainy Tuesday. It's Talk SEC with Matt and AP, although we're minus AP today. That's all good. Zach Nunez from Go Deep Dive decided to step in and help us out. Zach, what's going on, man?
Not too much. Much like everybody else, trying to figure out what is actually going on and whether these guys can play, whether they can't play, whether or not they can transfer. It seems like when this all first broke, nobody really knew, and we're all still trying to figure it out.
Right, and that's always the interesting thing. Really for the last 5 years, we've tried to figure out exactly what the NCAA is doing. And I don't even know that the NCAA truly knows what they're doing. So to give some backstory over the last couple of days, of course, former Cleveland Browns tight end Daquan Wright was waived by the Browns, decided to sign with LSU, which is ironic in and of itself, considering he bashed Lane Kiffin when he left Ole Miss. But we'll digress on that. And then the very next day, former Saints defensive lineman Xavier Harris, who also played at Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin, he decided that he was going to use his 5 for 5 and come back to LSU. But now, so first off, and again, I'm beating a dead horse here. I am completely against this. I think the second that you sign a professional contract, your days of wearing a college uniform are over. Even if you never play a snap in the NFL. If you put your name on a contract, you're done. Like that's how I feel. Other people can have differing opinions. That's why we are the greatest country in the world. That's why we have all the freedom that we do. You have the freedom of opinion, even if it's wrong. But one thing that I think is interesting is now the SEC is going to meet this evening about if they can prevent both Daquan Wright and Xavier Harris from playing for LSU beginning next Saturday against Clemson. So, Zach, I'll kind of open it up. What are your general thoughts here, especially with the SEC now, after nearly a week of this being a conversation, finally deciding, okay, maybe now we should say something and step in?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page as you. Every other year in the history of college athletics, outside of what they're classifying as 2022, right? And here's why. Because of COVID, everybody who was playing during that 2020 season got an extra year, right? Everybody currently playing will have an extra year.
Correct.
The high school class of 2022 isn't going to get that same opportunity that all of the other years around them got. And a lot of these guys that did go pro, Daquan Wright, Xavier Harris, Jack Pyburn, all went into the NFL draft process thinking that they didn't have the choice to go back. And I think that is the only way I'm okay with this, is because they made a decision without having the full idea of what their knowledge was.
Yeah. And I can agree with that, right? Obviously they didn't have the full scope of what was going on and what was to come. But I can also relate that to, the guys that left college sports in 2019 and 2020 when NIL came into play in 2021. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate for those guys that had just barely missed out on that opportunity, but it is what it is.
Right.
Like, yeah, I mean, I feel for the guys that would not be able to take advantage of that fifth year because they didn't know the full scope, like you just said. But again, sorry.
Right. AP does have a quick word for us, though.
Oh
Well,
Lord.
well, excuse me. First of all, I have a quick word for you, Zach. I just want to say thank you for filling in for me as I am on Highway 90 traveling back into the city. Thank you so much, buddy. And also, I wanted to make sure that these YouTube streets get blessed with your face again. So thank you,
Careful,
man.
careful,
Thank you, man.
careful. Be careful what you say.
Yeah, I was about to
You
say
rebels.
we might end up
You,
in YouTube jail too. Maybe we shouldn't have him
no,
on the
no,
show.
we just
Hang
saying
on.
Zach Nunez is fine. That's all. Zach Nunez is fine. Thank
Okay,
you, Zach.
so as long as we don't have David on, is what you're saying.
Now that's the conclusion that you're making, but I'm saying thank you, Zach Nunez,
Well, right.
for gracing these
No,
YouTube
Zach's
streets
the goat.
with your face. And thank you so much because it is a pleasure to hear you coming through these airways, man. I knew you had some shit on your chest. Get it off, brother. Do your thing. Love y'all. I'm out.
Love you, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Anthony Parker, also known as AP, blessing us on this Tuesday afternoon. Man decided that coaching his son's high school football team was more important than coming talk SEC football.
Oh, I'm sure if he's still listening, he'll have something to say.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh,
It's crazy that he picked his son over us. But you know what? It's fine. I digress. That's a conversation for another day. Look, and getting back to the thing with Daquan Wright and Xavier Harris, I get some people's conversations of, it's just a preseason game, or in Daquan Wright's case, he didn't really play much in the preseason. He was really just participating in training camp. I get that. So I'll even say that I could be convinced in the other direction from the football perspective. The one sport that you will not convince me is the RJ Luis situation.
yeah.
Like that guy played in regular season games for the Boston Celtics.
He was technically signed to two organizations.
You can't come back to college, bro. You just can't. That's not how this works.
No. Well, and I tell you what, though, I blame the NBA more than I blame the NCAA for that. Because if you think about it, the NBA opened up the G League as an alternative path to college, to the NBA instead of college. So that it's not necessarily branded as a professional league. It's a developmental league. But it's run by these organizations. So I think the NBA didn't do their due diligence in defining and writing out what exactly the G League is when they made this.
But you see, here, and while
RJ Luis has no excuse when it comes to that, though.
Correct.
I will say that.
I was about to say, if a guy strictly played in the G League and then this rule came out and, I want to go back to school, okay. Because like you said, the G League is a developmental league. While it is branded as a professional league, we all know it's not. Right? It's a minor league. So that I could be sympathetic towards. But RJ Luis, again, played in the Garden.
Right.
He played in Boston Garden wearing a Boston Celtics jersey. Like, dude, you cannot come back to Baton Rouge and play that. Like, you can't.
No, it's an extremely weird situation. And I think you would think after this season, the loopholes are going to get closed. With football, it basically is. With baseball and the collective bargaining agreement, it probably will be, but we'll see what that looks like. Basketball is really the one area where you can see where the loophole could continue to be exploited unless either the NBA or the NCAA steps in and says, hey, we're shutting this down.
Sure.
But the RJ Luis thing sets a bad precedent.
100%. And it sets a bad precedent for the entire state as well, considering that a state judge was the one that granted him a TRO in order for, like, that. What are we doing? What are we doing? It's diabolical. It's insane. And I'm glad you brought up the MLB CBA. let me just say this: if they don't come to an agreement sooner rather than later, we might not be playing a lot of baseball next year.
Well, there'll be a lot of SEC baseball.
Well,
I'll tell you that. I'll tell
Yeah.
you that. But yeah, I mean, well, this is the thing that David and I talked about a lot going into the draft process, specifically because we were looking at 5-5 and saying, okay,
Mhm.
now these guys have an extra year of leverage going into the draft.
Right.
But then you also look at, okay, well, if I'm not going to have the chance to play even in the minors next year, should I just stay? Because, like, I'm not going to collect a paycheck during a lockout. If I go to
No.
college, I can at least
But
make
I will get paid in college.
Precisely.
But I will get paid in college.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. God, college baseball might benefit greatly
That's
from
college
an
baseball is
MLB
going to be the
lockout.
biggest winner of 5-5 and the professional sports league that it's associated with, for lack of a better term, making some structural changes. Like college baseball is coming back up. It's coming back up for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. So one thing I saw on social media that I thought was interesting as we get back to the Daquan Wright, Xavier Harris thing.
Mhm.
I saw an SEC AD say that if those two players were to play for LSU this fall, that LSU should be either fined $1 million per game or disqualified from the conference. Your thoughts?
How are you going to enforce that? Because
Well, not only how are you going to enforce it, but how are you going to, as much as you and I might not agree with them being allowed to play, but the way the rules are currently written, they're allowed to play.
you legally cannot
LSU's not
violate a
breaking any
temporary
rules.
restraining order. Right. They're not breaking any rules. Legally, you cannot violate a TRO. And I sent you a text
Right.
just now, but I don't think you can look at it right now. But if the SEC says, yeah, you can't play, the players will then turn around and sue the conference saying, okay, you violated our TRO. You have to let us
Yep.
play. And the courts, in 10 times out of 10, are going to rule in their favor.
Yeah, they're not going to have a choice.
No, not at all.
They're not going to have a choice.
Like, you have to abide by the TRO. The Big Ten doing this whole thing that they're doing as well, banning this, that's not going to work either. That's not going to work either.
No, it's not.
Because it's against the NCAA.
And look, like I said, like I said, we can dislike the fact that these guys are going to play all we want to.
Right.
But at the end of the day, at this very moment, it's legal.
There's nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing we can do about it. It's gonna be so intriguing to see how that plays out because, man, I looked at a calendar today and the season's 10 days away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, 10 days tomorrow.
10 days away.
And the thing is, like, you're still adding players 10 days away from kickoff, which is
Correct.
insane to think about. Like, that's the most NFL thing that I think has ever happened in college football. But, like, here we are. I do have a comment from Steve Young to pull up. I hope the LSU administration pushes Lane to keep going. The SEC will get sued and lose if they violate the TRO. It's exactly what we were just saying. It's exactly what we're just saying. From my friend Junior over here.
David.
Which AD do we think that is? Gee, who could it be? I think when it comes to LSU, the only AD that talks about LSU more than LSU's AD is
Oh, of course, it's Keith Carter.
yeah, no doubt.
It has to be Keith Carter.
Right.
I didn't look into it. The tweet that I saw just said one SEC AD, but I'd put money that it's Keith Carter.
I bet it's
which is
either
fine.
Keith Carter or Texas A&M, because Texas A&M feels like the next sophomore school.
That's true. And look, that's fine if they secretly wish that they were LSU in Oxford, Mississippi. Then look, it's okay. 50 national championships across all sports.
Right.
50. That's all I'm gonna say.
There is something
Miss,
very interesting that somebody just tagged me in. Oh, and if that.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Somebody tagged me in something very interesting on X a few moments ago. Breaking: FIU transfer guard Corey Stevenson has committed to Ole Miss. At Zach Barry reports. What's interesting about that is he's transferring to Ole Miss.
Didn't he sign a NBA contract? There it is.
Played in the summer league with the Detroit Pistons.
There it is.
Those who live in glass houses should not throw stones.
Oh, there it is. Shout out to Ole Miss. Running their mouths for days about Daquan Wright and Xavier Harris. And now you're going to turn around and do the same thing. That is beautiful. I love that. Love everything about that, actually. All right, Zach, so like I said, we're 10 and a half-ish days away from LSU Clemson. As it gets closer, do you feel better about this LSU team? Are you maybe getting a little more nervous? Kind of where are you at right now?
I think when it comes to week 1 specifically, I'm becoming a little bit more confident as my Clemson friends start to lose more and more hope, and the more they start to complain about everything that's going on around LSU.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be very good.
I don't necessarily either, but I think I always have a hard time doubting Dabo. Like, I know how good of a coach Dabo is. We all do. Like, he's a national championship winning head coach for a reason. Beyond that, I think they've definitely got some things to figure out. And I think with a team with as many transfers as they have, it's bound to happen. But if you can avoid some of those issues early on in the season, by the time you hit mid to late season, I think you'll hit a stride and you'll be a much better team. So I think I'm cautiously optimistic, and it's continuing to grow more optimistic, but still cautious, if that makes sense.
Okay, who in the SEC concerns you the most outside of the obvious with, Georgia? Who especially on LSU's schedule, are you most nervous about?
I think it's Texas, just because I've been a noted non-believer in Arch Manning being the second coming of Peyton Manning or any other quarterback that you want to compare him to. If Arch proves me wrong, then that Texas team is going to be absolutely terrifying. Am I worried about Ole Miss? Yes, but only for like the heated sense. I think
Right.
I don't think their roster got a whole lot better, and I think obviously their coaching staff got worse. So Ole Miss doesn't worry me as much as Texas does.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. We talked about this last week with AP, and I got to tell you, man, the more I hear out of Auburn, the more worried I get about them.
That is a brutal place to play too.
It sounds like they're going to be really good.
I'm a believer in Auburn for sure. I just don't know if they've got the juice in year 1 to like shock everybody as much as they are. Because you think about it, like a lot of these guys are coming from the American Conference, like
right.
So But I mean, I'm a Byram Brown believer. Like, I think he's a really, really good quarterback. I like the system that they ran at USF. I just think that there's going to be a little bit of a speed curve and a learning curve from the
for sure.
American to the SEC.
So, what's your record prediction for LSU?
I'm somewhere between 9-3 and 10-2. I've kind of had this bundle of games between Ole Miss, Texas, Texas A&M, Alabama. I think are the four hardest games that LSU has, if I'm remembering correctly.
Right.
And I still think you win 2 of those 4.
Okay.
With potentially some chaos for a third. So I'm leaning 10-2. But I could see a world where you do drop 3 of those 4. That seems very pessimistic.
So,
to say that.
With LSU playing the 11th toughest schedule in college football, does 9-3 get you into the playoff?
You'd like to think so. But everybody that I've talked to that looks at how talks to the committee and asks how they kind of do this kind of stuff when they comes to putting teams in, saying they're not going to take a 3-loss team.
Yeah, I think they regretted taking Alabama last year.
Probably so, but the thing is like I'm not sure who they were going to put in over Alabama in that spot. Because then you have to start dipping into the 9-3 teams.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think that's a valid point. Again, as the season gets closer, kickoff with LSU and Clemson just next Saturday. It's 11 days away. I'm thinking, and obviously we haven't talked to AP or David about this yet. We should do a Talk SEC Go Deep Dive Super Show next week to preview LSU Clemson.
Absolutely love it. I'm in.
I just think that's a genius idea. I think that's what the people will want. Like,
you don't gotta ask me twice.
There's no reason not to.
Fully
agree. Don't tempt me with a good time.
Right. No, I'm fully down to it. And by that point, I'll have started kind of a little bit more of my research on Clemson and kind of scouting out.
Yeah, and maybe I won't be in YouTube jail anymore.
I don't know. Resolution is to that one is got to get past an AI. Got to talk to a real human. So
that's fair. That's fair. As always, guys, make sure y'all subscribe to us on YouTube at Talk SEC. Follow us on social media as well. Follow our friends over at The Know. You can subscribe to their YouTube as well and their social medias. Zach, I appreciate you stepping in on short notice. Great show as always. Keep up the great work with both ATVS and Go Deep Dive. And we'll do the Super Show next week. It'll be a blast.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend. You as well. This is a ton of fun.
Yeah, once again, keep up with us on social media at Talk SEC. Subscribe to those YouTube channels, and we'll be back next week with a game preview of all things Talk SEC.